You're listening to the Craft Messages That Matter podcast. I'm your host, Theo Capodistrius. Grab a coffee, sit back, and enjoy today's episode. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Craft Messages That Matter podcast. My name is Theo Capodistrius and I'm your host, and I'm excited you're back to listen to another episode. Today we're talking about how to speak up in meetings. Meetings are sometimes a necessary evil. They can take up hours and hours of the day. Some of us love meetings because it's a chance to connect with people around the business or meeting people externally to work through some exciting projects. A lot of people hate them though. It might not be because of what's involved in the actual meeting, such as talking about boring things, or because they drag on. Instead, the thing that scares people or causes them to hate meetings is speaking up and speaking out. Many of us struggle to find our voice in a meeting, which can be frustrating and hold us back from sharing our valuable insights. I've worked with clients who have said that the area of public speaking they want to improve most is when they're in a meeting. Getting up on a stage is okay for them, not their favourite place obviously, but not the same as that dreaded hate, that gut-wrenching, stomach-churning feeling that happens when they're in a meeting. So in today's episode, we're going to look at 3 key tips to help you to learn how to speak up in a meeting to help you get that confidence. Tip 1 is to prepare ahead of time. One of the most common reasons people struggle to speak up in a meeting is because they feel underprepared. They might not have a clear idea of what to say, or they might feel like they don't know enough about the topic at hand. That's why it's important to prepare ahead of time. Before the meeting, take some time to review the agenda and any relevant material. If there isn't an agenda, it's okay to say, are we able to have an agenda for this meeting? I think it'll be worthwhile that we come into this meeting prepared and that we're all clear on why we're actually attending. This is pretty important for a number of reasons. Obviously, you want to know why you're actually there and you don't want people to waste their time. So having this clear understanding initially is going to be really important. This will then allow you to think about what you want to contribute to the discussion and what questions you might have. Jot down some points if that helps you feel more organized. By doing this, you'll feel a bit more confident going into the meeting and you'll be more likely to speak up because you'll have a bit of preparation underhand. Tip 2 is listen actively. Another reason why people struggle to speak up in meetings is because they feel like they don't have anything to add to the discussion. But even if you don't have a specific point to make, you can still participate in the conversation by actively listening. Pay attention to what others are saying and ask clarifying questions if something isn't clear. Paraphrase what other people have said to show that you understand and are engaged in the conversation. Is there something within your role that may mean you can provide some specific insights that you can add on to what's being discussed? This will show that you've been listening, you're engaged, and that you have a valuable contribution to make, which is going to be relevant to the topic at hand. By doing this, you'll demonstrate that you're a valuable member of the team, even if you're not the most vocal. Ultimately, making a contribution is more than enough most of the time. A little mantra that you can tell yourself before stepping into a meeting is that you don't have to be the expert, but you have to say something. Say it to yourself. I don't have to be an expert, but I do have to say something. And having that something to say will mean you've contributed in a way. And doing a little bit of this at a time gives you that courage to then move on to feel that you can keep doing it. This will help you to give that little push and that little bit of courage to know that saying something is sufficient and your contribution is important. And this is just the start. Tip 3 is be confident in your ideas. If you have something to contribute, don't be afraid to speak up. I know that telling people not to fear doesn't actually help, but hear me out. Your ideas are valuable and you're there for a reason. You've been invited into that room because you're wanted and you're important. Valuing what you have to say and your role in the bigger scheme of things is critical for you to understand. Make sure you know what your worth is. I could speak on this point for hours, and it's something that is really close to me. Being able to show that your role and your knowledge is beneficial to others, the thing that's being discussed, the business or the client, whatever it is, the one thing that you have to contribute is going to be beneficial to helping them to contribute to whatever it might be. This is the thing that I help people with in terms of crafting and delivering messages that matter. From a mindset perspective, know that you are there for a reason and that your expertise is going to make a huge difference. If you're feeling nervous, take a deep breath and remind yourself that you're capable and knowledgeable. When you do speak up, be clear and concise. State your point clearly and provide supporting evidence or examples if possible. Don't be afraid to ask questions or ask for clarification if you need it. Remember, preparation, active listening, and confidence are key. By following these tips, you'll be well on your way to making a meaningful contribution to meetings and feeling more confident in your voice and in your ability. Now go out there and speak at those meetings because I know you're capable. And if you like this episode, please follow or subscribe and give it a rating. Give it a 5 out of 5. We love that, particularly as I'm in the early stages of the pod. To learn more about what I do as a speaker, a trainer, an MC, and a public speaking, communications and presentation coach, head to my website, www.theocap.com.au. Follow the Craft Messages That Matter Instagram page at CMTM_podcast. And of course, follow my personal Instagram page at TheoCap88.